All right, so the question has been asked, what does a property manager actually do? So maybe you're considering hiring a property manager, maybe you're a property manager yourself, maybe you're a realtor, or maybe you're just a landlord and you're trying to understand what are the things that need to be done to do property management effectively. So one of the first things that property managers do is they find and screen tenants. So here are some screening standards on the screen here. Income requirements are typically actually between 2 and 3 times the monthly rent. Now, it does depend on where the property is located. You'll see that ratio kind of change a little bit depending on what the average income is for the area. So one of the things that's important is that when you're screening tenants, you want to make sure they have enough income to afford the property. Minimum credit score of 670 FICO. That is actually just an average. If you have a property in a more affordable neighborhood where the rent is less, you're naturally going to attract tenants that may not have as much income. They could have some medical bills on their credit report, and they may have a lower credit score than some other tenants. My recommendation is figure out what the average credit score is for that area. Now, on the flip side of that, in a nicer area where you may have a lot of tenants that want to get into the property, maybe their incomes are higher, maybe the average credit's higher, then you may go up more towards 700 credit score or more. So debt to income ratio is preferred that it's less than 35%, or really, that's kind of the reciprocal of the 3 times the monthly rent. It's kind of the inverse of that debt to income ratio. If you do a good background check, many times the software that we use will look at their income and it'll give you that debt to income ratio, and it'll kind of make a recommendation for you. Occupancy rule is 2 tenants per bedroom. Once again, that's a recommendation. We actually rent out individual rooms, and a lot of the properties that we only have 1 occupant per room. Now, if you're renting out like a big house and the family has a lot of kids and they have good income and they have good FICO score, then you want to look into their rental history. As long as they pay their landlord on time, it's okay to have a couple kids per room. All right, so the next one is going to be rent collection and financial oversight. Once again, this goes back to good tenant screening, because good tenants pay their rent. And then if you get the rent paid every single month, you're doing a proper accounting for everything, you're going to have good financial oversight. The next one is lease management. You can see that there's an annual maintenance breakdown here. It says the average request per year is between 8 and 12 maintenance requests. Now, this is an average overall maintenance breakdown across basically the entire area. Some of the top maintenance requests are heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, or HVAC issues. Of course, here in Florida, it gets hot. The ACs tend to sweat. If the filter doesn't get changed regularly, then you're going to see more of those HVAC issues. Those are accounting for 25 to 30% of all the maintenance. Plumbing issues are going to be right there, hand in hand. 20 to 25% of all of your actual maintenance requests are going to be plumbing. So HVAC and plumbing are definitely going to be the top 2. Emergency response time should be within 24 hours. You should have an emergency hotline for that. That's something that a property manager definitely should have. Urgent repairs are 48 to 72 hours. Routine repairs between 7 and 14 days. Once again, it depends on the component. Obviously, if it's a roof or a full replumb, or you have to go in and do a bunch of repairs on the property, that's going to take some more time. So there at the bottom of the chart down here, it says security deposit return 15 days if there's no claim. Security deposit if you're claiming 30 days. Tenants have 15 days to dispute. If tenants don't pay rent, you put out a 3-day notice or to quit. Basically, pay your rent in 3 days or you have to leave. Lease violation notice is going to be 7-day notice to comply. That means they have to fix whatever you're asking them 2 and 7 days in accordance with the lease. The typical eviction duration is 2 to 3 weeks, and writ of possession means that you have to get out within 24 hours. So just quick recap: finding and screening tenants, that's a big thing property managers do. Rent collection and oversight, lease management, property maintenance, that's making sure that the tenants are happy, making sure they pay rent, and making sure that the property is in good state and that everybody is getting along. And then legal compliance, just making sure that you're serving the proper notices at the right time, that your lease is in compliance with Florida law, that everything is happening like it needs to happen to be in line with the Florida Landlord and Tenant Act. So hey, if you're considering hiring a professional property manager, you should look at paying between 8 to 12% of the monthly rent. Multifamily units and apartment complexes, we manage those too, and that's usually going to be between 5 and 10%. We also manage individual rooms, and we do work with a company called Pad Split to rent out individual rooms. We typically charge between 5 and 7%, and then Pad Split has some fees that they charge to place the tenant and to manage the property as well. So hey, I'm Adam Locklear. This is One Realty Management. If there's anything that I can do for you, please do not hesitate to reach out.